This is Arman Assadi. Welcome to Find Your Flow, episode 1. Oh, man, episode 1. It's really happening. If you can hear my voice wherever you are, whoever you are, I want to express my gratitude to you. I have been waiting to do this for so long. This has been a dream of mine for 8 years now. And I could not be more excited to finally have the opportunity to share the journey of finding your flow, to be able to connect with some of the greatest thought leaders, thinkers, influencers of our time, and not just the household names, but to be able to sit down with regular everyday people who are absolutely brilliant and doing incredible things in the world, but maybe perhaps aren't on a quest to become some Instagrammer or TikTok star. But these are also the people who deserve a platform to have their story shared so that we can all learn how they find flow, how they find their fulfillment, and how, I might say, even a little bit of that elusive happiness. Today, we're going to be covering, I believe, what is probably the most important topic for us to start with and get on the same page about. And I call it my Flow Manifesto. And this in and of itself is something that we're going to unravel and have it unfold because it's something that I've been sitting with and marinating on for so many years. And I feel it is finally time to really put it into the form of words and share it as a manifesto. If you are here today, I truly want you to know that this is meant to be a two-way conversation. Reach out to me. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you dislike. Let me know what you want more of. And I am really here to go on this journey and document this process of finding flow, uncovering what really gets people into that state and how it is that they have created a life that is balanced, that is fulfilled. And I'll tell you one thing that I know for sure. There are apparently something like 800,000 podcasts out there, and there are 799,000 plus of them that just sit down and they grab somebody and they do this interview, and it literally goes something like, "Hey, John, welcome to the show. Let's talk about your origin story that you've talked about already on every single podcast and TV channel and every single media platform that you've been on already that we could easily read about." I don't intend to do that. I intend to have a very different, unique conversation that in and of itself will be an exercise in flow. We are meant to have a conversation with that person. You are meant to be part of that conversation. And I hope that you find these people absolutely as fascinating as I do. So I want to get to the juice. Let's get to the juice of the Flow Manifesto. So here is my philosophy in a nutshell. 8% of humanity is pretty, just kind of coasting by, right? They're just kind of going through the motions. They live a life that is drawn up for them according to the status quo, maybe from their parents, maybe from society, authority figures. They don't necessarily spend a lot of time thinking about what they want. If they do, it's just little things here and there that gives them a sense of freedom. And we all know these people, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is just the way things are. But there's a percent of people, we'll call it close to 2%, like literally the rest of the population almost, that is very achievement goal oriented. These are the hungry people. These are the people that are getting after it. These are all the people on Instagram that are showing off and they're like, look at me and look at what I'm doing. Or they're not, maybe, and they're not showing off and they're just getting after it. But what is driving them is an external aim, something external. Like, I have to visit every country in the world. I have to make $10 million. I have to make $10,000 passively. There's some sort of external goal. I have to be a famous podcaster or some shit like that, or I have to be a New York Times bestselling author, right? That used to be a dream of mine. What a joke. That's such a joke. Do you know how miserable I would be if that was my goal? Oh man, this is good. It's like, you'd be miserable. You'd be miserable because here's what's going to happen. You get it, and it's not as good as you thought it was. Or you don't get it, and you're more miserable. When this is an example that's coming to mind right now. It feels relevant. Mark Manson, be another great person to talk to. Mark, what up? Wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Mega bestseller. I mean, books like that don't come around very often. Maybe once every 10 years, 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's to the point where the guy, friends with Will Smith, writing his book, he hit the jackpot. And the book, by the way, very good, incredible. I love it. I think Mark is a brilliant, brilliant person. But here's what he said in an interview that I watched recently. When all of his dreams came true all at once, too fast, he had this North Star, right? The North Star was, I'm a blogger. I'm going to create this book. I've been successful. I've traveled the world. He'd done a bunch of really cool stuff. And then he was like, okay, I'm going to do this book and people are pushing me. I know the people that pushed him to do the book. And they're like, you got to go traditional. You got to go traditional. That's the best way for you to get exposure and really get it out there. And he does. And all his dreams come true. And then all of a sudden, he's literally left going, what the fuck? Like, what do I do now? And all of those things that in our mind seem grandiose and incredible and like, man, if I just do that, if I just got that, if I just achieved that, then I could be happy. Nope. He literally said that he sat, I forget for how long, like a month or the summer, on his sofa for like the summer or something, playing Zelda and got depressed. He literally became depressed. And then he wrote another book, by the way, right? Talking about all this stuff. That is an extreme example of what happens to anybody who is in pursuit of a specific outcome. Now, let me actually just have one side note about having a goal. That doesn't mean that we should not have the goal. I'm going to explain this. The goal is healthy. The goal is like an aim. It's a North Star, especially if it's a really big one. You have to have it. You do. Because if you don't have it, you don't know which way you're going. You have to point your compass. And that compass needs a north. You need to be able to point it. So that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have that. It just means you're going about it backwards. That is not the primary thing. That's the most important part of this. The goal, the outcome, the aim is not the most important thing in life. We have the paradigm reversed. So let's go back now. 98% of people are just trying to achieve. 90% of people are just going la, 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 right? Boop-de-doop. Going throughout life, being manipulated by what they see and hear, not aware that their opinions are not of their own. Man, we got to do an episode on that. And I'm only saying that in an aggressive way because I was one of those people. Holy shit, did I have some wake-up calls in my life when I really realized that my own opinion, my essence of myself was completely wrong. It was not me that had these thoughts and opinions. So we'll talk about that. I'll write that down, another note for more stuff to talk about. But then we've got this close to 2%, the remainder of the population who is just achieve. And they go throughout life on a roller coaster. Why? Because the thing that they are primarily seeking, like me, was get the goal, get the goal, get the goal. You get the goal and what happens? What's next? Okay, keep the high going, keep the high going, keep the high going. And that's one thing that people do, by the way. That's one way that people deal with the achievement addiction, is that as soon as they achieve, they move on to the next thing. And that could, some would argue that's healthy, but I think that there's a better way. Like, that's healthy to quickly move on, right? You celebrate, you go, yes, I did it. And then boom, you move forward to the next thing. But again, you are then a product of the circumstances and environment around you. If the economy crashes and your idea stops working, you're going to probably be upset. You could try to put a growth mindset hat on your head and really, be positive and opportunistic and always find the silver lining. And that stuff is all gravy too. I love that stuff. I'm not hating. I am a positive mindset, opportunity, optimist junkie, because that is also just, what else are you going to do? Like, you're going to sit around and be depressed? No, you take the problem and you view it in the most productive way you possibly can. Okay. And that's all fine and dandy too. But life ends up being like a roller coaster. It's up and it's down. It's up and it's down. And it's all based on the environment and what's happening. Did I achieve the goal? Did I not? Was it as good as I thought it would be? No, it wasn't that good. Oh shit. Okay. Now I have to go, oh, what's the next thing? Oh, fuck. What do I do? And that is literally, and then that's the noise. That's the noise. That's the noise in the brain. It's just going, jaw, jaw, jaw. And that's the monkey mind. So we go, oh, fuck. Okay, let me meditate more. I got to meditate more. I got to try to find peace. I got to find peace. Oh, but I got to make money. I got to make my family happy. I got to make this person happy. I got to make myself happy. Oh, shit, self-care. I got to worry about self-care. I should do some yoga. I mean, it's endless, right? It's endless. So what do we do? What do we do to avoid the achievement junkie roller coaster? Well, for one, we definitely don't want to be apathetic and avoid and just go, life is meaningless, and be all nihilistic about it and just kind of, forget about it. We don't want to do that, because that is scary. That's scary. Depression is not something to mess with. It's a real thing. I've been depressed. I've been extremely depressed when I was in my teenage years. I'm sure that'll come up in various times, but it's not good, right? Nobody wants that. And so, and it can lead to even worse outcomes, as we know. The mental health crisis right now is just, it's bad. And I don't think that's because, everyone's just being apathetic. And I know this is such a sensitive topic, and people are going, don't lump together the people that clinically need medication with people that can just exercise and feel better. I'm not saying that. I get that. But I think that there's a major chunk of the population that is just generally, kind of like, life is whatever, it's meaningless. We don't want to go that path. That's all we're saying. Let's all agree on that. Okay. So then we go, okay, achievement. That doesn't work either. How do we avoid this? What do we do? What I have found that, honestly, was a moment of, it felt like a moment of, I'm so hesitant to use this word, because it's like, what does it even mean? I don't even know what it means. It felt like a moment of massive clarity. Some people would call it like a moment of mini enlightenment, And I think we have a lot of these moments. Like, a better way to put it is, I love the way Eckhart Tolle talks about it. It's like a moment of conscious awareness, a moment when you really realize who you are. Like, what is life really? And you have this huge insight. And for me, it was something that I realized that I'm like, why has everyone been lying to me? Why has I got mad a little bit, because I've been following the guidelines of all these books, all the mega bestsellers, all the gurus, all the teachers for so long. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to be struggling. Why am I challenged with life? I'm supposed to be in flow with it. Why is this happening? And it's something that, when I realized, again, I was like, this is something that only the great masters seem to know. And that is that your life's, let's call it, purpose or your path to fulfillment, which I believe is through this state of flow and state of supreme presence, does not come externally. It comes internally. And we've also heard things similar to that. So this is more nuanced than that. This doesn't mean just meditate and life is good. This is something deeper than that, that only the great masters seem to know, but don't talk about as they're not out there yelling with a microphone, right? They're kind of like, they're just, they don't have that megaphone standing on a big stage. They're not necessarily, writing these mega best-selling books about it. It's just kind of like something they do in a very subtle manner. It's also not necessarily something that a person does. These great masters are not necessarily people who are like public figures. This could be somebody that you know. And if you ask yourself, like, who is the happiest person that you know? I mean, ask yourself that right now, like write it down. Like, I should do that right now too, because it changes all the time. Like, who are the 5 happiest people that you know? And I think one of the patterns that you will find is that this person is in tune with their inner world. And in that inner world, they have tuned into the fact that they are aware of who they really are. They are a conscious, sentient, self-aware human being spinning on a flying clay rock through the universe of infinite space in which nobody knows what the hell is going on. Our limited science through, empirical investigation shows us here's what we know. And that is all we're left with. But they know who they really are. And they sit and they go inward. And that is their baseline. They first say, I am a friend of the present moment. This is something that just like shook me when I thought about it. I asked myself, is this moment right now my friend? Most of the time, for most people and for myself, no. The present moment is usually a means to an end, meaning I'm doing this thing that I'm doing right now to get to this other place, which is like, oh shit, isn't that the achievement thing all over again? It's like you're doing this thing to get to the other place because you have a goal and you're thinking to get to the other place, or when I achieve X, I'm doing X to achieve Y because Y equals Z happiness or something like that, right? We're generally living in that mode of this moment as a means to another end. Or even worse, we're like, this moment is annoying. This moment is stressful. This moment is an obstacle. It's in my way. That's where a lot of people spend time too. And then if that goes too far, that becomes depression, anxiety, so on and so forth, right? I mean, ask yourself, like, when you feel down or depressed or anxious, are you being a friend of the present moment? No, not at all, because there's no such thing as problems in the present moment. And this is what the great masters know. They have identified with a truth with a capital T, that if all they need to do, they realize that is in this moment, in their inner world, they know who they really are. They stay aware of the big picture. They're like, look, I'm spinning through the universe. I am a tiny, 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 tiny being, one of billions. Where are the aliens, by the way? That's something I want to ask people I talk to. I'd love to see their answers. And I'm spinning through the universe. So my problem is not that big. They have this macro awareness most of the time or at all times. They also have supreme presence where they're in the moment and they realize, hey, just make this moment my friend. If I just smile a little more, if I can just be a little more grateful in this moment, then what happens is you can actually perform. Not only do you find yourself experiencing more flow, But then I think what I have found is that I perform my best. Look, if there's shit going on in your mind, that little thing I did earlier, which was ridiculous. Oh my God, I got to pick up the kids. The dog just pooped. I got to achieve this. I need to be a New York Times bestseller, right? All that stuff is going on. You're not performing your best, most likely, because your mind's too busy. There's too much going on. So you're like, I'll meditate and try to feel better. Hasn't worked for me. Hasn't worked for me. Nope. It's like 10 minutes of peace, but that's not sustainable. What's sustainable is moment to moment presence and awareness of who you really are. And then you might realize what you do best. And then comes the doing. So let's go back to the paradigm that I mentioned. The paradigm is reversed. The paradigm has the doing at the top, the go get it. But what if we reversed it and we were just present in this moment, which is, by the way, what every person who enters a flow state will tell you, and you'll see, we'll talk to people, I'll prod, I'll ask, we'll see what they're doing. They're losing themselves, meaning that ego part of themselves is like obliterated and gone. And all that's left is what comes through them. And the doing is unbelievable when you can get out of your own way. And again, I know that you've probably experienced this. When you, who you think you are, when that person gets out of the way and the real you, or what I like to think of as like there's a lot of names for it, right? I think this is where, some thoughts like my higher self come into play, and it's like the higher self with a capital S. There's something greater beyond ourselves that all of a sudden shows up, and the creativity it's able to express and the energy that it has. First of all, it's like unlimited energy. And it's this creativity that you didn't even know you had. It's like that. It's like when you write something and you're like, where the fuck did that come from? Or when you're playing your favorite sport and then you just have the game of your life, right? Whatever it is, you just perform your best. Or you're in this like art class and you're painting, or you're just in general at home painting. And then you just kind of are like, damn, where did that come from? I mean, that's where I find these books and case studies of artist rituals fascinating, is because they all talk about this, right? It's this mastery level flow state that shows up and takes over their body. They sometimes refer to it even as like channeling, it's almost like they're just channeling it. And I have some friends that I'll have here on the show that say that do that. And some of them and you're like, whoa, how the hell does he or she do that? It is kind of like a form of like, they're just like, boom, they're getting out of the way and it's coming through them, right? Not some like woo-woo shit. Like it just feels that way. It just literally, for that person, it just feels that way. That's what it feels like. There's no other way they can explain it. That's the kind of doing I'm talking about that doesn't have a roller coaster ride attached to it. It's supreme presence. It's knowing who you really are. It's uncovering what you really do best and doing that and getting out of the way and doing that consistently day after day after day after day. Then and only then do I believe it makes sense to have an external goal or purpose. We've all got it wrong. We've flipped it. We need to flip it back. It doesn't begin with all this find your passion shit. It doesn't begin with all these articles that are like, here's how to find your purpose. You don't need to go to a meditation. This is, again, my opinion. I mean, I have gone through a journey and talked to enough people that I'm like, okay, if that's for you, cool. It's not for me. I don't need to go somewhere to have somebody help me to find my purpose. It's not out there. It's not out there because it needs to start with me from an internal world. I need to be a friend of the present, and then I can think about my external purpose. And by the way, it'll just come to you. It'll just happen because you'll be in the mode of doing, and it's a different kind of doing. And you'll be like, damn, I'm good at this and I'm good at this and I'm doing this. And then all of a sudden, what if I was able to not only do this because I really enjoy it, but oh shit, this could actually really help people. And that's where you find a purpose in life, right? Something that you're like, I could do this for the rest of my life, or I could do this for the next year. By the way, your purpose does not, I have also found, need to be something that you commit to for the rest of your life, because that external purpose, again, before we get too far, will come and go. It will probably not last a lifetime, because again, the anchor needs to be the inner you, the inner world that is making the present moment a friend, right? That external purpose that you have will come and go, come and go, come and go. It might last 5 years, 1 year, 3 months, 50 years, right? So you have to be willing to let it go. It will pass. This will all pass. So it's part of the environment. It's like, it's a law. It's a law of physics. It's a law of spirituality, right? It's going to go. So if you are attached to a goal or an outcome that is only going to pass, just like time is passing for all of us, that is not a way to be fulfilled or happy or at peace. You know? Right? So you have to be willing to let those go. But if you can identify something that's like, that would be really cool if I did that, if I put my energy into that, and I think I can be good at that. I think not only can I be good at that, I'm going to play a game where I'm going to develop mastery with myself. I'm going to become a master at this thing. Cooking Brussels sprouts. I'm going to cook Brussels sprouts that'll blow your freaking mind. That's cool. That's sick. I love that. Like, I'm going to be the best Shih Tzu dog trainer in the world because screw all these other dogs. I like Shih Tzus. That's what I'm going to do. That's my thing. And you know how I'm going to help the world? I'm going to make it easier for other Shih Tzu dog owners, right? Your purpose doesn't have to be to solve world hunger. It just needs to be something that you can commit yourself to doing and developing mastery in, and that also might help others. That'd be really great of you. That'd be nice. This is my external purpose, if you didn't already figure that out. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty meta. This is mine. Absorb, absorb, absorb. Take it, digest it, marinate on it, live it, experience, and then put it into words to give someone else the opportunity to have an aha moment that could change their life. That's my purpose. That's what I do best. And it might change. And that's okay. Because as long as I stay in the present as a friend of this moment, man, I want to make the present moment, fuck being a friend. Let's be a best friend. Can you imagine that? This is just hitting me right now. Can you even imagine that? Most of us are not kind to ourselves, and we're definitely not a friend to the present. We are not kind to ourselves. If we said the things that we say to ourselves, to our sibling, to someone we love, would you ever do that? Hell no. Hell no. You'd never do that. It would be awful. We're assholes to ourselves. So of course then that means we're being an asshole to the present moment, right? But imagine if we made the present moment a friend. God. And then imagine we made it a best friend. Like, can't get enough of you, need you, love you, so grateful for you. And without attachment, I love it. I love you. I love this moment. I'm going to completely absorb myself in this moment because this too shall pass. Ah, just that level of like joy wow. I mean, what else is there? What else is there? Cut through the shit in your life and you will see there's nothing else. There's nothing else. Everything else is noise. Everything else is the monkey mind, the chatter, the chatter in the skull, as Alan Watts calls it. I love that guy. I'm going to play with that one. I'm going to play with this idea of making the present moment my best friend. And I hope you'll join me on that. That is who I am, really. I feel I am best explained by the present. I feel like I could tell you all the things that I do, what I've done. I can, but that's who I really am. And that might change. But just so you know, few things about me that come to mind. I was born in Sacramento, California. I got my first job at the age of honestly, if you call a job like mowing people's lawns and getting paid for it, all that kind of stuff, like just money, cash money under the table, like 8 years old in the neighborhood. I remember mowing often my third grade teacher's lawn. She was down the street, and I'd go over there with my brother. It was great. And in California at the time, you had to be 14 years old to legally work. So at 13, I went and got a permit that was like a backdoor way of being able to work, I think up to like a certain amount of hours early, a year early. Actually, before that too. I mean, I had all kinds of jobs. I was working at this snack bar in the park, at like 12 or 11, running the whole thing. That was awesome. So anyway, my first job was at 13 at a skating rink in Northern California, indoor skating rink. I made $5.25, took out the trash, I DJ'd. And then my favorite memory is I was the guy that when you went to rent your skates, I had to take them back from you, and they were all stinky and nasty because your feet were nasty. And I had to deodorize them with like a special spray and sit back there with all the funk. That was cool. And then I worked, the snack bar there, and I'd be like the guy, riding around in the rink telling you don't do this and do that. It was pretty cool. And I've done it all. I've had more jobs than I can remember. Everything from retail to, I was there at Singular Wireless when the iPhone launched. I worked at Nordstrom. I've sold cars. I've done real estate, mortgage consulting. I worked in the mortgage industry during the 08, 09 time. So many things. I made juices at Jamba Juice. And eventually this got me, I just kept kind of climbing the ladder. And you can learn more about me on my website if you want to read my full story. I'm not going to go into it too much more. But childhood was challenging and very traumatic, and to say the least. Things I probably can't talk about fully, but I'll talk about some of them. And I will. Don't worry. I'm not going to hold back. There's just certain things that were really traumatic and difficult, and honestly aren't that relevant anyway, right? It's like what is relevant is now. But that difficulty and challenge and trauma really, first of all, led to depression and losing who I am and not knowing where to go or what to do. But it also was a silver lining that led me to really this passion of creating a great life and finding myself. And I found myself finally in college. I got into SDSU. It was my dream to go to San Diego and go to SDSU. And that is where I really developed my conscientiousness and became very hardworking. I wasn't a good student before. I became a good student at that time. It was I was finally away, from all the shit and the drama, and I could just be me and focus and learn. And I became a leader, and I found myself, and I absorbed myself in learning. And that led to like this prestigious job at 3M. So my first job out of school was at 3M. I moved to New York City and I got to live in Manhattan and do this whole thing. And then after 2 years there, I got recruited to work at Google, which was unbelievable. And I went to Google and I worked there for close to 2 years, like a year and a half. And it didn't work out. It was amazing for the first while, but that entrepreneur itch inside of me would just not go away. And I was too much of a nonconformist. And, you know, it was just, it's like, what are you going to do with someone who really has the DNA of an entrepreneur? Plus, things started to kind of just fall apart in my group at Google. And I took that as a sign. I went off to Cuba. And I literally, went to Cuba, sat in Havana, drinking Hemingway daiquiris, thinking about what the hell I was going to do with my life. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me give it a shot. Let me do this thing. I was like, I can be a solopreneur. I'll start small. I'll make enough money to just like do my thing. And it's now been 8 years. And I had the dream for this podcast 8 years ago when I first started blogging and doing my thing on the internet. And since then, since that time, today, I am the co-founder and CEO of a company called Project Evo. We created the most funded planner of all time. We raised a ton of money on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, crushed records. I've built an amazing team that I'm so proud of. It's an incredible company. I have other companies as well, things that I'm invested in, things that I participate in. And now I have this. I'm also working on some other projects, but throughout that time, also before starting Project Evo, I really created a name for myself in copywriting. And it happened kind of by accident, actually. One of my friends one day was like, dude, do you want to try copywriting? And I barely knew what it was. Like I literally barely knew what it was. And I was like, no, I'm not a copywriter. That's what do you mean? And he kept pushing me. I don't know why. And I'm glad he did because I was able to develop expertise in it and develop a level of mastery in it that has opened a lot of doors for me. Those relationships, I mean, I've done copywriting and marketing consulting for some of the biggest brands and biggest influencers and authors in the world. And I'm super grateful for it. So I have a lot of now time and expertise in those areas that I've put in. I've seen a lot. I've watched the world of digital marketing, e-commerce, apps, SaaS, everything just evolve. And so I have this other side of me that is, in addition to just being this flow junkie and wanting to find fulfillment and share it with others, being an entrepreneur and having this background in developing and growing companies. I have something like, as of today, 13 seven-figure launches that I have architected, which is really cool. And that led to, God, this is starting to sound ridiculous. This is why I hate doing this stuff, because it's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And I do have like a good, healthy ego, but this stuff is a little too much. But anyway, it's been an amazing journey. It's led to some great accolades. I was featured on the cover of Founder magazine, which was a really cool moment because it has featured people like, Richard Branson and Mark Cuban and Ariana Huffington, Brene Brown, Gary Vee. I mean, people who are like, hell yeah, like they've really made it and done something amazing and contributed so much. So that was an honor. And now here I am, and I'm working on a lot of interesting things, but this is something that I am most passionate about right now. And I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for this opportunity for you listening. So I'm going to close out here with a few quick gives, just a way to show my gratitude for being here, for listening, and to say thank you. The first one is a giveaway. Everybody loves a good giveaway. So here it is. First of all, when I do consulting, my day rate starts at 5 figures. And for an hour of my time, it starts at $1,000 an hour. Some of you are like, what? That's it? And others are like, are you insane? It's always relative, right? That's where I'm at today. But what I want to give is, and by the way, for those of you like, how the hell do you charge that? That's the value of experience and putting in the time and the energy, by the way. When you build a certain level of expertise, people pay you for it. And it's an incredible thing because you can actually help people. So, that's a separate conversation. But here's what I'm giving away is a 30-minute free consulting session with me to talk about anything. It can be digital marketing related. It can be about you and the new business that you want to launch. It can be about scaling your existing business, or perhaps you're just at a crossroads in your life. You're trying to figure out, do I go more education? Do I go more this way? Do I move out? Do I move in? It could be anything. To qualify for this, here's what you got to do. It's very simple. Open your Apple Podcast app, go to the Find Your Flow show, and leave a review. That's it. Leave me a review. You can do it from your computer, from the podcast app on your Mac. You can also do it from your phone. And if you're on an Android, Stitcher is okay too, and so is Google Podcasts. But for those of you that are on an iPhone, or you can just do it from your computer, because it is what it is, but Apple Podcast reviews are the most valuable. Go to Apple Podcasts, leave that review if you can. I'll be reading them all. I look forward to it. And all you got to do to let me know you've submitted is send me a text to say, I submitted my review. Send that text to 619-825-2595. That's my number. That will be my number. That is literally a way to get personally in touch with me on my cell. And I'll be doing a lot of my communications in general and these types of giveaways and things like that through that number. So jot it down and just keep it. You can save it to your phone and shoot me a text. So again, to enter the giveaway, to get 30 minutes with me, which essentially is worth $500 in value, leave a review in Apple Podcasts and text me and let me know you've done it. That's the first thing. The second thing, I would not have been able to pull this podcast off had it not been for finding a team or a person or somebody to handle all the post-production. Right now, all I have to do is show up and record, and Resonate Recordings handles everything else. They are professional, incredible. I get a personal client concierge. There's so many good things. You can do your own research, but what you will find from me when I do my research and when I sign up with any service or recommend any resource is I look for the highest value thing I can possibly find. That sweet spot of high value, not necessarily the most expensive, through the roof service. Anybody can find that. This is about the most valuable thing that I can find, the most valuable service in the market. I believe Resonate Recordings is that. So what I am giving as well is a free episode to be edited. So that's a $59 credit with Resonate Recordings. They will edit one episode of your podcast for you for free. And I think it's a great way to just do a trial to see how you like working with them. To get that code, just text me at the same number. Just text hashtag Resonate, RESONATE to 619-825-2595. That is it. And let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the review. Let me know your thoughts via text. I look forward to connecting with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Peace.